Welcome to the Snapshot of Presence, bringing your boldest self to your biggest challenges by Amy Cuddy. Here we'll explore the key insights from Presence. Introduction. If you've ever felt powerless when confronted with a high-pressure situation, you're not alone. Feelings of powerlessness can be consuming and prevent you from presenting your best self. Fortunately, its antidote, Presence, can give you the power to rise above moments of powerlessness. Presence stems from trusting yourself. After all, who will trust you if you don't trust you? Whether you're aiming to speak up in class, nail a job interview, or simply find peace with who you are, follow these steps to help you take on the biggest challenges that come your way. 1. Use self-affirmations. Focusing on your values and who you are will help you present your most authentic self. 2. Genuinely listen. You can build trust by making others feel heard. 3. Crush imposter syndrome. Don't let self-doubt get in your way. 4. Body language is key. Use posture, movements, and gestures to get you in the right mindset. 5. Strike power poses. Assuming power poses before a challenging situation will make you feel more confident and powerful. 6. Nudge yourself. Baby steps are more effective than trying to change everything at once. 7. Fake it until it becomes real. Sometimes you need to trick yourself into feeling a certain way until you actually feel that way. What is presence? Everyone has moments where things didn't go the way they wanted, and they desperately wish they could do them over again. It's all too common to think of a perfect answer to a job interview question or response to an argument at a dinner party after the fact. But if you become filled with regret and beat yourself up over it, you'll likely stir up the feeling of powerlessness. And before you know it, you'll start to feel this way before anything has even happened. If you're always second-guessing yourself and going into high-pressure situations assuming you'll fail, you won't be present in the moment when you most need to be. Now imagine walking into one of those situations full of confidence and leaving with no regrets. When you're fully present in a situation, you exude comfort, confidence, and enthusiasm, whether you realize it or not. These traits come across in the way you speak, your gestures, and your facial expressions. By being enthusiastic, you're signaling to the world that you're passionate about what you're talking about, which signals to others that you have drive, are willing to work hard, and won't back down when things get difficult. It's easier to trust people who are confident and enthusiastic partially because those traits are hard to fake. People can easily tell when you're not fully present and will respond accordingly. Imagine trying to sell a product you don't believe in. It'll likely come across as a dishonest sales pitch. This is what happens when you aren't being present. Being your authentic self will get you farther than behaving how people want you to. Presence signals authenticity, and authenticity resonates with people. Believing and owning your story. Using self-affirmations before heading into a potentially challenging situation can help you tap into your boldest self. Contrary to what many believe, self-affirmations are not about reciting empty, generic words in an attempt to pump yourself up. Instead, they remind you about what matters most and who you are. Focusing on the best parts of you will make you feel more confident about yourself and less dependent on what other people think. Reminding yourself of your strengths and values before a high-pressure situation can help combat anxiety. You don't need to convince yourself that you're a good public speaker to give a great speech. You simply need to focus on your most authentic self. Reflecting on and writing about who you think you are can help you discover your true self. Self-affirmation pushes you to identify your story and tell it to yourself and others through your words and actions. This will make you less stressed and more open to others, allowing you to be fully present and honest in a given moment. Presence is about bringing your boldest self to challenges so you can face them without fear or anxiety and leave without regrets. Stop being afraid of what could happen. Instead, focus on what's happening right now. When you own your own story with people, they'll be more inclined to be authentic with you as well. Stop preaching, start listening. How presence begets presence. In 1992, after presiding over several teenagers' funerals, Reverend Jerry Brown was determined to curb the gang violence that had swept Boston. After the murder of a child he knew personally, it became apparent to Jeffrey that the key to solving the problem of gang violence was to be present. He started walking the streets with a few other clergy members in an effort to reach the kids. The ministers weren't immediately welcomed, but they continued to go out night after night. Presence, after all, is about showing up, and that's just what they did. They met toughness with kindness and showed a genuine interest in listening to what the kids had to say. Thanks to evolution, humans tend to value warmth over competence. From an evolutionary perspective, it's more important to know whether you can trust somebody than whether they're competent. Trust is necessary to influence others, and it can only come from being present. You won't get far convincing someone of something if they don't trust you. To help the kids in Boston, Jeffrey had to be his truest self. This established a trust that encouraged the kids to be the most honest versions of themselves as well. Listening is also part of being present. Jeffrey realized that he needed to actively listen to the gang members in Boston if there was any hope for change, and not just listen to their words, but really hear them and take them seriously. Preaching to them about the perils of violence would have no effect. This willingness to listen fostered a partnership between the kids and the Reverend in approaching the problem of gang violence. When you listen, you gain trust, acquire information, see people as individuals, and develop solutions. In return, other people will be more willing to listen to what you have to say. Thanks to Jeffrey and the other ministers' willingness to listen, teen murders in Boston significantly dropped. As this case demonstrates, sometimes words aren't necessary. Your presence can speak for itself. I don't deserve to be here. In the 1960s, Pauline Rose Clance, a doctoral student of clinical psychology, had a strong feeling everyone in her program was better than her, and she wasn't meant to be there. She lived in constant fear of being exposed as an imposter and kicked out of the program. Almost everyone has a story like this. That feeling that you've been given something you don't deserve is often referred to as imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome makes people second-guess themselves, worry what other people think, and feel unprepared. It's impossible to be present when you feel powerless in this way. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll have a hard time convincing others to believe in you. After Pauline finished her doctoral program, she spent some time working as a school counselor. During her time as a counselor, she noticed that many of the high-performing women around her didn't feel that they deserved to be where they were despite their achievements. Initially, she believed that it only affected women, but she soon realized that men were affected by imposter syndrome too. Imposter syndrome can strike anyone capable of experiencing the fear of failure, which seems to be the main culprit behind these feelings. High achievers tend to fear failure more strongly, which explains why those who have achieved the most are so strongly affected by imposter syndrome. Elena, a poor Latina girl from South Bronx, convinced herself that she was only accepted to an Ivy League school because they needed to fill a quota. She earned a doctoral degree from a competitive physics program, but still felt like she didn't belong. One day, a professor told her that she didn't belong because of her social status. Another one told her he was doing her a favor by letting her do postdoc research. These experiences fed into her imposter syndrome, and eventually, Elena left the physics world. Imposter syndrome prevents you from seeing the world as it is and inhibits your ability to stay present in the moment. How powerlessness shackles the self and how power sets it free. Fear can lock you in a cycle of powerlessness, making you more vulnerable to threats and susceptible to social pressures. But if you feel powerful and in control, you'll be more open to opportunities and feel more optimistic. When you're deciding whether to do something, you probably weigh either the possible benefits or the possible costs. If you're focused on the benefits, you're more likely to take action than if you're preoccupied with the potential costs. Thus, feeling powerless will make you more likely to avoid situations. Whether you feel powerful or powerless can have huge consequences in your life. After getting rejected from Harvard and MIT, a promising young valedictorian felt powerless and started to believe he wasn't smart enough for a higher education. As a result, he ended up attending the local university, losing his ambition, and receiving poor grades. In this student's case, the loss of power had a ripple effect on other areas of life. The rest of us are no different. The good news is that the simple act of thinking of a moment when you felt powerful can have a positive impact on your emotional state. Slouching, steeping, and the language of the body. Throughout the animal kingdom, expansive body language is closely associated with power. Consider chimpanzees who puff out their chests, and peacocks who spread their giant tail feathers as a way to show dominance. This principle doesn't just apply to animals. Think of a soccer player who scores a winning goal, then throws their arms up, lifts their chin, and puffs out their chest. This is a nonverbal signal of power and triumph that seems to be universal. If you want to feel more powerful, you simply need to make yourself bigger. People interpret such signs of pride as competence. Posture, the way you walk, and the way you talk can all signal whether you're powerful or powerless. When you feel powerless, your body restricts, which manifests in many forms, from slouching to tightening vocal cords. However, it's important to remember to maintain balance when it comes to powerful body language. Most people are turned off by intimidating, dominant body language. Your goal is to create a sense of intimacy with your audience, not intimidation. Additionally, it's important to be aware of how your body language might be interpreted in a particular culture. Not only does body language give outward signals, it also sends internal signals of power to yourself. The body shapes the mind, so starfish up. According to psychologist William James, emotions don't cause bodily experiences. Bodily experiences cause emotions. James famously said he didn't sing because he was happy, but that he was happy because he sings. What he meant is that performing a particular action with the body can evoke certain emotions. This means that people are capable of faking emotions until they become reality, which is why you can dance your way to happiness, or why Botox can be used to treat depression by temporarily paralyzing muscles commonly associated with grief. Your body can change your mind and emotions. Research has found that trauma creates a disconnect between the body and the mind. But by focusing on the body through physical interventions, such as regular yoga or relaxation-focused breathing, anxiety in post-traumatic stress situations can be reduced. Though it may seem simplistic, it's possible to change your state of mind just by breathing differently. Research has found that people standing or sitting in power poses feel more powerful and are also more willing to take risks. Big sweeping gestures aren't necessary to feel this change. Small things, such as sitting up straight or speaking more slowly, can have the same effect. Assuming open postures will make you feel more powerful, confident, less stressed, and more optimistic. Posture also has an effect on how you think about yourself. When you're in a powerless position, you'll be more likely to think negative things about yourself and will be distracted from the task at hand. Expanding your body clears your head and creates space for creativity and abstract thinking. Good posture makes you feel more energized, ready to take on the world, and open to seizing opportunities, acting, and asserting yourself. Elongating your body will positively impact how you feel about your strengths and skills in a challenging moment. Research has found that soccer players in high-pressure shootout situations who had strong body language before the kick were more likely to make the shot. When your body takes on a powerful posture, it overrides the fight-or-flight instinct and helps you stay focused on and engaged in the moment at hand. Striking a power pose before going into a challenging situation, such as a job interview, can help your performance. It won't change the content of your responses to questions, but it will have an impact on how you deliver your answers. Sometimes your nonverbal presence can matter just as much as your words. If you're in a situation where you can't physically strike a power pose, imagine striking one. Even imagining yourself in such a pose can have an impact. Conclusion. For most people, changes in self-image don't happen instantly, but require constant nudging. Each time you nudge yourself forward, you'll have that memory to revisit in the future. No one is good at keeping their New Year's resolutions because big goals are hard to achieve without baby steps. This is why small nudges work best for changing habits. Running a little bit every day at a pace and distance you feel comfortable with in preparation for a marathon will be more effective than attempting to do it all at once. In the same way that running regularly will build your stamina and bring you closer to your goal, presence will build upon itself with each little nudge. Presence isn't only an important skill to have in high-pressure situations, but also when faced with the day-to-day challenges of life. Presence can mean different things to different people, but overall, it's about being attuned to your feelings, values, thoughts, and potential, and being able to express those things comfortably. When you feel powerful, you'll feel more comfortable being your true self, and when you are present in a situation, your posture, expressions, and speech will align to send out a powerful message. Presence is something that everyone understands when they see it or feel it, but it can be tricky to explain and comprehend. But if you follow the tips in this snapshot, you'll feel it too. About Amy Cuddy. Amy Cuddy is a researcher and professor at Harvard Business School. Her research has been featured in a number of major publications and media outlets, including the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and NPR. Cuddy has been named a Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum, one of Business Insider's 50 Women Who Are Changing the World, and a Game Changer by Time. Her 2012 TED Talk on body language is the second most viewed in TED history. Thank you for listening to the snapshot of Presence by Amy Cuddy. If you liked what you heard, then make sure to explore the rest of our snapshot library to continue gaining key insights from nonfiction books in a matter of minutes.
Thank you for listening to our quick learning audiobook review series. If you liked what you heard, then check out our channel for more free audiobook reviews. We post new audiobooks every week. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to be first to hear of our latest reviews.